Hi Instagram fam! Welcome to the first episode of the Empath mini-series. So real quick before we jump in, I just want to talk about why I'm doing this, what my motivation is, because I'm not here for views or likes. I'm just here to find a community of people who identify as empaths, know someone who identifies as an empath, or wants to get more information. So this is kind of a way to get my community together, do research, figure out if there's anybody else who identifies as an empath. There's different types, there's different kinds, there's different ways that people identify as empaths. So for me, realizing I was an empath, my therapist pointed out to me that some of my symptoms were less of anxiety and more of someone who identified as an empath. And I was like, never heard this concept before. I knew what empathy was. I've seen the word empath thrown around on Instagram. You just automatically kind of associate yourself with that term. The Empath Survival Guide. So this is what she recommended to me, and I started reading it, and I was like losing my mind. I was texting my girlfriends, I was texting my family, I was showing my parents, I was reading them excerpts out of this book. It really got me excited. I realized that there was a subgroup of people who felt exactly the way that I felt. I mean, the whole book basically is, I feel like it's written about my life. So it really hit home for me, and I finally realized maybe I'm just empathic. Maybe I'm an empath and I just need to learn how to moderate those emotions and take care of myself a little bit better. So I started doing research, and it's mind-blowing. It's scientific, it's factual, it's explorative, it's, not all, she's empathic, she can read the future, or she knows how people feel, she can read animals' minds. That's kind of what I thought an empath was, but I'm starting to learn that it's a lot more than that. So it prompted me to start doing more research on empaths. So if you haven't had a chance, I highly recommend the book. A lot of what I'm talking about are ideas from her book that she brought to light, and then I went on to do my own research. So some people are probably going to listen to this video and think I'm completely crazy, and that's fine. I'm not here to be relevant to everyone. I'm here to share a message that I hope resonates with people who identify the same way that I do, or that are maybe going through the same thing that I went through, or I'm still going through. I'm by no means an expert. So with that being said, I know some of you are probably going to roll your eyes at some of the stuff that I say, and that's fine. With that being said, I think the easiest way to kind of ease into this, because I don't want to get too heavy in this first episode, I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of why I started this, but I think it's important to know what the difference is between someone who identifies as an empath and someone who has empathy, because we've all heard of empathy. For the most part, we know what empathy is. So according to Psychology Today, empathy is the ability to recognize, understand, and share the thoughts and feelings of another person, a fictional character, an animal, anything that you can feel empathy for and towards. So most people are capable of empathy. Everyone's on a spectrum, so you might not fall on the very empathetic side or the least empathetic side, but you fall somewhere on that spectrum more than likely of empathy. So what we do know, empathy helps us to build relationships with people. So empathy is good in that we can understand where someone else is coming from, we can see a new perspective, we can console someone if, your friend's family member passed away. You use empathy and sympathy to really feel what they're feeling, try to get into that headspace that they're in, try to feel the emotions that they're feeling, try to relate to that person using empathy. If you watch a movie and your favorite character dies and you feel emotional and you empathize, that's normal. That's a normal level of empathy for the most part. So what makes that different from an empath? So like I said, empaths fall on this spectrum, so I'm going to refer to empaths are basically emotional sponges, so they feel everything: sorrow, jealousy, pain, sadness, all of it. They absorb those emotions like sponges. Now this is where I might lose some people. So Judith Orloff explains that some people who identify as empaths will actually take on other symptoms of people who are feeling sick. An empath can actually pick up on that pain or whatever those symptoms are and feel those symptoms. So she really goes into like how empaths have this unique ability to really not just attempt to understand other people's emotions, but almost take them on as their own. So empaths really literally feel what other people are feeling. So I feel like the biggest difference is that empaths will get overwhelmed easily, they have burnout very often, they get energetically drained and need to recover from that, they can have emotional hangovers, they are prone to exhaustion and sensory overload. So Orloff argues that empaths have a reactive neurological system. She also argues that we have a mirror neuron system that activates more in empaths than it does in other populations, whatever, people who don't identify as empaths. Empaths are often labeled as overly sensitive, emotional, dramatic. So for me personally, what resonated with me about Orloff's work was she said that empaths tend to have addictions, drug and alcohol addictions, anything to kind of make you feel normal or be able to cope with being in large crowds, meeting new people. And that was always my life. And it was all because I was trying to cope with being so emotional and so sensitive. I struggled growing up. I was always labeled as overly sensitive or dramatic, but none of it really felt right. So something was missing. I always felt like I tried to get help, but none of the traditional methods worked. I reached out to a therapist and we've been working together for a while now. And she's the one who brought up Judith Orloff's book. I read it and it totally aligned with everything I've been feeling. So all my sensitivities, hate being in large crowds, concerts, I feel overwhelmed, there's too much going on, I can't usually handle it. I don't like going to parties. That's my thing, is I'm very emotional and I internalize everything, and empaths tend to feel things first and then think. So after I would hang out with my friends or go out to a party, I would probably spend the next week oversleeping, trying to recover this balance. So I felt like I was constantly withdrawing energy from my bank, but I was never depositing it back in. So I always felt tired. So another important thing to know is that I am an introverted empath. So there's introverted, there's extroverted. You can be an empath about plants, physical, emotional, intuitive, telepathic, precognitive, dream, earth, animal, introvert, extrovert, physical, and emotional. So there's a wide variety, and that's why it's so difficult to talk about these things, because everybody's so different. Underlying, there's the same general feeling, or you just feel like you don't fit in and you're a hermit and you kind of keep to yourself. There's even extroverted empaths who enjoy being out in public and enjoy conversing with people, and there's just so many different variations of people that it's so difficult to study. I've met people in my life who identified as empaths, but in completely different ways than I do. So it's interesting, and that's why I really wanted to start this series, to see if we can get a conversation going about all these different kind of empaths that there are out there, and share tools and tips and tricks and skills to better manage our empathy, because it's our blessing and our curse, right? We're highly intuitive, but it's overwhelming if we don't know how to manage it. So the key is managing like your empathic abilities. So all in all, people who feel empathy can feel bad for somebody, console a friend, be there for people, be able to empathize with other people. But empaths take that a step further, and they really internalize physical symptoms, they internalize emotions, they internalize energies. Empaths tend to have their guard down, they tend to be manipulated easily, because I would say most empaths don't set healthy boundaries, especially because empaths want to fix everyone. I can feel your pain, I want to help you. That's my initial reaction. And sometimes empaths need to set a boundary and say, this is not mine to fix. If I can help, great. But if this is taking too much out of my energy bank, then I have to set a healthy boundary and say no. But empaths empathize to the point of draining their own batteries. So this is a lot of information to take in. I'm just gonna let this settle. I definitely want to start a community where we can feel comfortable talking about being an empath. At the end of the day, I could be completely wrong, and maybe there's no such thing as an empath. I'm not afraid to be wrong. I just want to explore, and I just want to have the opportunity to open up this platform for people who this does resonate with. So if this doesn't resonate with you, that's that's okay. It's real for me, and it's real for a lot of other people. So just be mindful of that, just don't discredit anyone else's journey just because maybe it's not exactly how you feel. This isn't for everybody. This video isn't for everybody. Be you, but if you did connect, if something did resonate with you, if you do have questions, DM me, leave a comment. I'm always open to having a discussion. I already do have some questions for future episodes. So I have some tips for communicating with empaths, relationships, setting boundaries, book recommendations, the skills to help. Blocking emotions from an empath was another question that I found super amazing. So I've been working on these questions, I've been doing some research. There's still so much more we can cover, so much more I can dive into. And for me personally, this hits home, obviously. Realize that I probably identify as an empath, and I'm starting this journey with you guys. I know just as much as you do at this point. I mean, yes, I'm doing research, but this is all new for me too, and I'm still learning how to navigate through being an empath. But honestly, so many connections came together, and I finally understood so much of my life. And I'm still learning every single day. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we get an episode 2. We'll see. I would love to. I'm looking forward to it. Stay safe out there, guys, and take care of your mental health.